Hello, my name is Eliza de Vries, and I am an evolutionary astrologer, a medium, and I work as a vibrational healer and artist. I work a lot also with animals. I give a lot of animal readings all over the world, and most of my readings are done on the telephone, so if you would like one after listening to this video, please feel free to private message me at AngelicMercy44@gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe or like the video, or please do leave comments. I love reading them and responding to them. Today's video is going to focus on the solar eclipse, which will be occurring at, I think it's 11:44 Los Angeles time. So you would take that forward or backward according to where you live. Now, the powerful thing about this solar eclipse, for those that are living in the United States, is that we are having the sun and moon at 12 degrees 21 minutes. And the solar eclipse is at 12 degrees 21 minutes. What does that mean? Well, the first house is very related to, I've done a lot of notes here, as you can see. It's about our identity. So this will not only be about our personal identity, but it will be about the identity of the United States. And rather than to be a negative response, I feel that this solar eclipse is going to bring about a profound shift in the United States. Now, solar eclipses, they usually last about between 1 and 8 months. So we're going to have that triggered over and over the next year. And the other thing that the United States is going to go through on February 22nd is Pluto return, which only occurs once every 246 years. This is a big year for the United States. And so there's a lot of unfoldment of events that can happen in the country. And where the last few months we were dealing with a lot of retrograde planets, so everything felt in a quagmire of battling and stickiness and nothing being accomplished, and everybody complaining that nothing was happening, even though there was a majority a skinny majority in the Senate and a majority in the House, and the president, all of the same party. There was so much bickering and fighting and lack of forward motion. Well, that was a lot to do too with the retrograde planets, which are making us all, no matter what party affiliation, making us all go deeper within and reflect on our own personality. And I'm sure a lot of you, if you look over the last 2 years, especially in the last 6 months, with all of these retrograde planets, that you have felt the huge shift in your own attitudes, in your own ways of responding to other people, in your own way of not being so judgmental, or seeing that the polarity that exists, and the fighting and the infighting and the bickering, not just within yourself or within your family or amongst your friends, but in the country, that it is not getting us anywhere. And so what is being stirred is a sense of grassroots rising up to fight for what you believe in or to express it. But most of all, I think the major message of the last 2 years has been to keep reinventing ourselves and to keep reflecting on our own lives. Because if we really consider it from a spiritual standpoint, when we go through something profound within our own being, and we really look at it, and we really make soul changes within ourselves and drop miserable habits that were going around and around and around, and the same thoughts that weren't getting us anywhere. If we make those shifts within ourselves, it will affect how every single person within our vibration is also going to respond to us. and it will help to create change in them. And then we're sending those vibrations out. If you look at the old RKO emblem on the movies, and you saw that tall triangular waves coming off the structure, that is what we're like. We're sending those waves out and out and out, just like throwing that stone in the water. So right now, instead of looking to everybody else and fault finding, really take this incredible solar eclipse, which is to me, a very optimistic shift. Everything's now direct except for one planet, Uranus, which is going to go direct in January. So we're in a forward motion right now. So be conscious of just where is this eclipse landing in your chart. Obviously, if you're Sagittarius rising, it's landing in your first house of your own personal identity and how you are seen in the world. So to see this at what we would call a conjunction of exactitude, which means it is exactly on top of the other on the ascendant of the United States. I've never seen this in the whole time that I've been studying astrology. This is a big shift for the country, and as we all know, this will bring about a big shift within the expression of the world, because the United States does have a huge impact on the world. So a lot of unfoldments of events, as we mentioned earlier, and a rebirthing of the USA. So this rebirthing, you might have already felt this rebirthing coming within your own being, within your own life. And this is a time for you to really set out your spiritual and higher-minded intentions, because Sagittarius is very much related to the higher mind, to spiritual studies, to in the film industry, it's related to directing. In publishing, it's related to being published. It's opposing the house of Gemini, which is the writer, and it's the expression of the writer being published. It's a very powerful Jupiterian optimistic house. So this is an optimistic new moon. So why not create some kind of collage of things that you wish to bring into your life, or put a sheet of paper with words on it of things that you are aspiring to express. So the other thing is that we are going to have Mars in Scorpio at 23 degrees. I think it's 23 or 24 degrees. And it's going to be exactly trine Neptune. So there's a lot of great capability with Neptune to bring about with our force of will, because Mars sits well in Scorpio. It's a very powerful Mars to have in your chart. It's somebody with a strong will, somebody that hangs on, somebody that does not give up when everybody else jumps ship. They're still there trying to make something happen. They're strong survivors, Mars and Scorpio. So to have that trining Neptune, it's like we could be sending out a redefinition of how we wish to spiritually become, because Neptune rules many levels of being. Neptune, where did I write my notes on Neptune here? First of all, it is related to water, it is related to liquid, it is related to oil, and we've been looking at the oil lately a lot. It is related to film industry, the media, and it's related to illusion and delusion. So we could be seeing a lot of illusion and delusion within the media. It's also related to pharmaceutical products. It's also related to our great imagination. It's related to crossing into the realm of intuition, and it is related to the higher octave of love. So it's not just about personal love, it's about love coming from our soul, connecting to God. So this would be a really great time to increase your spiritual intention and participation in spiritual growth within your own being. It's also related to creativity and unconditional love. So Neptune has no demands. It's a diffused energy. That's why when we want to connect, I was saying to someone the other day that when we die, we do not go upwards as we always see the soul rising to go to heaven. We go to another vibrational level of being. So Neptune is related to those misty, gauzy, other vibrational levels of being. So it's a great time for meditation. It's a great time for, with the Mars pushing at it, it's a great time for us to increase our intuition, our capacity to communicate with those who have already crossed over. It's a wonderful time for me as a medium with the Mars at 23, 24 degrees, and I have my Sun conjunct Venus in Scorpio at 24 degrees. So for me, it's a real boost. This solar eclipse for me is a great blessing. So remember, we're already in the energy of the solar eclipse, and it's going to go for another 6 months after, 6 to 7 months afterwards. So take advantage of this time. I was looking back to when Pluto was in a hard aspect to the United States before, and when there was a problem, and it was interesting because the last really tough Pluto transit, we had 9/11. So this Pluto conjunction that we're going to have, that's coming in February. That's going to be a really, Pluto, it unearths all the muckiness which it's been doing, and that's going to be going back and forth over the United States, Pluto, for the next year of our life. So the next year for the United States is going to be very powerful. You're going to see a lot of upheaval, a lot of change, a lot of disruption, but out of it all, a rebirth, because Pluto rules birth, death. So a death to the old way of doing things, a death to the old way of walking through life, and a regeneration. Pluto has very strong regeneration powers. So the United States is taking a good hard look at its own underworld. Pluto rules the underworld, so its own shadow self is what we've been looking at in this country for the last year, especially the last 5 years. And that, because as Pluto's been inching its way up to make that conjunction, it has hit the United States Saturn, and now it's hitting the, it's right on top of the Pluto coming up next year. So that great as possible intention that we could set out on a global basis would be for Mother Earth and for the rebirth of Mother Earth and our rebirth of how we treat her and how we treat the creatures and how we treat each other. As I said before, Sagittarius is a very, very powerful sign. Now, I just wanted to look again at this eclipse. So we've got a Sun conjunct the Moon, and it's close to Mercury. So the Mercury is at 15 degrees Sag. Then we have that Mercury is coming up to square Neptune. So we have to still watch out for a certain amount of deceit in the words that people are using in what we read. We have to become more discerning about what we read and what we accept as truth. And this is why we need, when we read something or we hear something absolutely outlandish over and over and over, we need to step back, we need to go within ourselves and really take a look at whether that rings true with your soul. And really hear your own being and let your own being guide you. Because right now there's a lot of false truth out there. Not truth, it's falsehood. The other thing that we have is we've got Mars squaring Jupiter for this eclipse. So there's a strong sense of the will fighting with belief systems. And we see that. I mean, it's absolutely happening right now. So that is something, when we see this will coming up of the Mars in Scorpio, we all can access that. We need to look at our charts, see where is Mars in Scorpio in my chart, so that I can work with that energy in that particular domain, because each house has got a specific purpose. And like we were talking about the first house, it's about our identity, our personality, the image we put forth. So there's going to be an expansive feeling in the country. Optimism is going to come back. I really feel that. So I wanted to draw a few cards because I like to get a soul message when I have an astrological interpretation. I also like to go to the deeper level of the soul. So I'm going to first choose one for the United States, and then I'm going to choose one for the world, and then I'm going to choose one for us individually. What is this solar eclipse all about? So I'm going to first take for the United States. What is the main thing that we as Americans can be focusing on to uplift ourselves, uplift others, and to bring forth a sense of renewal and a new identity that has more value system and more spirituality, more true spirituality, not rigid. Because Sagittarius is about freedom. It's not about rigid belief systems. Sagittarius is about freedom of mystical aspects of religion and accepting others, being broad in your perspective of others. Sagittarians are they're wonderful working with all nationalities, all races, all colors, all religions. They have a wonderful universality to them. So this is another thing, that perhaps we will become more accepting of the races that exist within the country and give them more acknowledgement and more opportunity. So let's just look at the United States first. Well, this is a glorious card. If you look at this card, it's a man and a woman united. So there's no, I mean, right now we've been having these terrible battles about Roe versus Wade, abortion, whether you believe in abortion or don't believe in abortion. A lot of women are deeply concerned about the right to have authorization over their own body and not have a bunch of people telling them what they can and cannot do with their body. And on the other side, with the vaccinations, there are people that say, it's my body, I want to be able to do with it what I want. I want the freedom. So right now we're thinking about